Hi everyone, welcome back, and if you're new, this channel is about makeup brushes, predominantly Japanese and Chinese made brushes. And Japanese makeup brushes are called Fude in Japanese, or make brush, but I prefer to call them Fude. This is a topic I've thought about in the past, but didn't get around to making a post on it on the subreddit, so I thought it'd be nice to make a video for those of you starting out your Fude journey or are interested in Fude but are still contemplating. Please excuse all the shuffling that will be in this video. I'll be moving a lot of brushes in and out, so you'll see a lot of that. To start off, I want to say that the most important thing about choosing brush shapes is to look through your current brush collection and see which ones you use and love the most. When you upgrade a Fude, you'll want to choose brush shapes which you're familiar with and know how to use well. I don't recommend buying popular Fude when you first start your collection or move over from cheaper brushes to Fude. Everyone is different, and brushes, like makeup, are very personal. It may be intimidating in the beginning when you're choosing which Japanese brushes to purchase, but when you choose the most popular or sought after brushes, not all of them will work out for you. It definitely didn't work out for me. I'm not saying that it won't work out for you completely, but there are just so many brush types and shapes, and everyone is so different that I don't think it'll work out for everyone. Popular brushes aren't bad per se. I just can't stress enough how important it is to know your own shape preferences before you dive head first into Fude Wonderland. So if you have a lot of money, or if you have the money and don't mind buying a lot of brushes to figure out what you like, then by all means go ahead. But I don't think that's practical for most people. And if you don't have a lot of brushes to begin with, it would help to buy some cheap ones first and test out how you like the shapes, and then take the plunge and splurge on the Fudes. So cheap brushes like e.l.f. and Real Techniques. Keep in mind that you may also buy popular brushes or brushes that pique your interest and fall in love. There's a 50-50 chance that you'll either love or hate a brush shape you're unfamiliar with. You can start out by buying brush shapes you're familiar with and try out a couple of shapes that seem interesting to you or popular ones, and may end up loving them as well. So yeah, I basically can't guarantee anything, but it's nice to get some advice before purchasing. I know that definitely helped me when I was making my Fude purchases. So I'm going to be laying out a lot of brush shapes to show you, and I'll discuss how I use them. I have a lot, so hopefully I can get through this really quickly. These brushes are round right here. This is my favorite brush shape for setting powder, finishing powder, and blush. This is the Chikuhodo Takumi T4. It's a round pom-pom shape, and this is one of my holy grail blush brushes. I love this one and the Hakuhodo J110. They're my everyday blush brushes, so I'm always in a rush when I'm putting on makeup or going out or whatever, because I'd rather sleep than put on makeup. So since I'm in a rush, this blush brush applies my blush so perfectly and effortlessly. It blends like a dream. I can't ask for any more because it's the perfect brush for me for blush, and the hairs are a perfect length. I personally don't like really short blush brush hairs like the Hakuhodo J210 or the Wingos 13. Those hairs are too short for me, but this one, it's 35 mm, so it's the perfect length for me. And yeah, I just don't like the way that those two apply blush, so I prefer longer hairs. But everyone's different, so you may actually really love those brushes and not like this one. It's just hard to really tell what everyone likes. And here is the Koyomo Nadeshiko Cheek. This has I think it has about the same length of hairs as the Takumi T4. It's silkier than the Takumi because it's made out of ancient goat hair, but they're both very silky. It's just, I think the Koyomo one is a little bit silkier, and it doesn't pick up product as nicely as the T4 because it's so silky. But I do really like this one. It's soft, and but I'm not a fan of how short the handle is. Okay, so here's the Tanseido WC20, and this is labeled as a blush brush, but I actually use this for setting powder. You can see how brown it is now. I think I also tried this for bronzer, but yeah. This This head is airier than the other two. It's not as dense and it has more flexibility. Yep. Yeah, so I do like it for setting powder. The only thing is it sheds a lot, so that's the only con I can say about it. But this is made out of sokoho, yeah, sokoho, and the koyomo one is made out of ototsuho, and the takumi T4 is made out of saikoho. So in order of like highest hair grade to lowest would be in this order: the T4, Tanseido Dib C20, and then the koyomo. Okay, so let me go on to the pudding brush from Koyudo. This is really nice. Like, I've talked about a lot of these brushes already, but I'm going to try to get through them really quickly. Yeah, this is really nice. I love the head. You can use this for like mineral foundation. You can use this to buff things in really nicely, and obviously blush. I know one of my friends loves this for her Clinique cheek pops, and that's surprising because even though the synthetic hairs on top are really, really soft, but then the bottom I think is like ototsuho or something. It's rougher, so it can pick, I guess the combination of the bristles picks up hard pressed products really well. So yeah, I've talked about this one already too. And then here's the Koyudo Fupa, well, no, it's not Fupa, it's the LMPG. So this is, the current version is the soft Fupa one. The only difference is the ferrule in the Fupa one is black now, but yeah, this one's discontinued. But this is my favorite dense round pom-pom brush, just for basically everything for foundation, like liquid foundation, setting powder. I wouldn't necessarily finish my face with this because the hairs are so short that it's gonna move a lot of things around when I try to buff everything in at the end. But yeah, it's good for like cream, liquid, and powder. And then the Fua Fua, okay, I said that really weird, but yeah, the Fua Fua from Koyudo is also a nice brush. It's less dense, or it has way more flexibility to it than the Fupa one. Yeah, less dense. So it's good for for setting powder. I'm not sure if I would use this with mineral powder. You may try it out, but I don't have any mineral powder with me right now, so I can't say if it works well for that. And then here's the Fupa 14. I have not used this in quite a while, but I do really like it. There's a combination of gray squirrel and goat in here, but it feels more like gray squirrel. And yeah, it's just a great brush overall. I do really like this one. I'm going to be talking about like larger powder brushes now that are round. And start off with the Chikuhodo Passion powder brush. I actually love this brush so much. It's dyed sokoho, so usually dyed sokoho is not that soft, but this is soft enough for sensitive skin. And you know, the coarser hairs can pick up products really well, like any type of hard pressed products. So bronzers, powders, whatever you want to use it for. It's just such a great brush, and I highly recommend this one. And the Z1 is my favorite brush for finishing powders. So Hourglass Ambient Lighting powders and Guerlain Meteorites. This is just so good. It won't move your foundation or your setting powder. You just use it after you've done everything on your face, and you just buff the powder in, and then it really just blends everything in effortlessly. And also the Koyudo Gray Squirrel powder brush. This is great for the same thing the Z1 is great for. Yep, and it's less dense, you know, it's more like airy and floppy. So it will give, you can already see the meteorite particles on my hand. But yeah, it'll give a softer finish. And then here's the Hakuhodo J104. I haven't used this in a while either, but I really love this for setting powder. And yeah, you can see how it works like this. It's just a great brush in general. And let me move on to the next brushes, which are Tapered. So I love my Shou Long M01 from the Frisha line because, you know, it applies everything really nicely. It doesn't kick up loose powder like the Wayne Goss 001 did. So I also love this and highly recommend it. And then here are a bunch of tapered eye brushes. So tapered brushes are great for getting into smaller areas of the face, applying to targeted areas, yet also blending nicely at the same time because the heads are round with a pointed tip. So once you push the tapered tip into your face, the round body comes behind it and helps to blend everything. So my favorite tapered eye brushes are the Hakuhodo S142. Not this one. Well, this is not a favorite, but I just wanted to include it in case any of you are interested. It's less tapered than the rest. It has more of a round head at the tip. This is the Chikuhodo GS10, and then the Wayne Goss 3 is another favorite. It's great. The Hakuhodo J5522 is not so much a favorite, but I think this would work really well for targeted highlight. It doesn't necessarily work that well for my eyes. And then the Mizuho CMP 527 is one of my favorite blending brushes, and also the Hakuhodo B142 is my favorite blending brush of all time. And then the Chikuhodo Takumi T6 is nice and tapered. It's great for applying eyeshadow all over your lid. And I do also love the Hakuhodo J5211. Sorry, I was looking for, it wasn't this one. Okay, so I also love the Hakuhodo J5521, and the Wayne Goss 2 is also a very nice brush. I think this is it. Yeah, okay, here you go. At the moment. But yeah, the Wayne Goss 2 is nice for just like, it's multi-purpose, so you can use it for setting smaller areas of your face and highlighting. And the J5521 from Hakuhodo basically is the GOAT version of this. It's less tapered, because mine doesn't really like to keep its shape, but yeah, overall it's a great brush, and that one is my favorite for highlighting. So as you can see, these are all angled, and they work well for getting into small areas of the face as well, but can also be used for setting powder, bronzer, and contour. So I really like angled brushes nowadays for lots of multi-purpose use as well. I used to not like angled brushes at all, but this is just something I guess that you find out with testing a lot of brushes. I'm a Fude collector, so I don't really use my brushes that often. Like, I don't use them on a daily basis because I don't wear makeup every day, but I collect more than I use them basically. And out of just like buying a lot of types of brushes and collecting them, I've come to appreciate some brush shapes, and the angled one is one that I've come to appreciate, because yeah, like I used to not really like angled brushes, like especially blush brushes, because I just didn't really know how to use it properly. Everyone uses it differently, you know, like sometimes I'll see people on YouTube applying their blush with an angled brush like this, and then sometimes people will use it the other direction. So it's just hard to figure out like how to use it properly, but I do enjoy these brushes. This is the Makeup Cat blush brush that I've talked about in one of my videos. I love this a lot. It's quite soft, and it's like less than $10, so it's a great blush brush if you're on a budget. And then the powder one isn't as good as the blush brush. So if I were you, I would, oops, it shed a hair. I would actually not really get, okay, so I could recommend, I think a lot of people would actually like this, but personally for me, I don't really like it. It's not a bad brush, it's just like average to me. Yeah. And then here is the Hakuhodo G504. This is wonderful for contour. I've talked about this already as well. It's a lot thinner. The head is a lot thinner on the side, as you can see. And yeah, it gives a really natural finish. Then here's the Hakuhodo J531. And this is the best with my Tom Ford bronzer. Like, it pairs so perfectly with Tom Ford bronzers. I love it to bits. And then lastly, I have the Chikuhodo Takumi T2. This is also angled, It's quite dense when you compare it to the J531. I guess they're both dense, but yeah. Okay, so let me just move on to the next shape. Okay, so the flat brush shape is my least favorite brush shape because flat shapes don't have the ability to buff nearly as well as the other shapes, but it does have its good points. Flat brushes can be used to pat and sweep product onto your face instead of buff, and that will do is minimize the amount your foundation will move around when you set your face. So brushes like the Koyudo BP16 is pretty flat. I would say this is somewhere in between like a flat shape and a flattened oval. And then the BP18. Also flat. The Hakuhodo J5523, kind of flat, somewhere in between flattened oval and a flat shape as well. Then the Hakuhodo J004G. Hakuhodo J242G, and the Hokodo GS1. Alright. Okay, so flattened oval shapes. Think of this like a flat shape but fatter. I like these a lot because they're denser and have more blending power. I totally forgot to take two more out. So here's the MK1. And the MK2. Okay, so the Chikuhodo MK1 and MK2 are flattened oval shapes. As you can see, they're quite dense on the sides. And yeah, although it's harder to blend vertically like this, it's easier to just blend like this. Same goes for the MK2. And then here's the Tapered 16 SOV EXS. I love this blush brush. Silky soft and it blends really well, even though it's made out of like hair that's in between Saibikoho and Saikoho. And then the Hakuhodo J110, which is one of my favorites of all time. As you can see, they have pretty poofy bodies on the side. Here's the Mizuho MB120. This is like a softer version of the MAC 129, and if you hate the MAC 129 for how prickly it is, then you should try this one, or actually you should just get the Hakuhodo one because it's so much softer. And then here's the Hakuhodo JMG. This is a powder brush. It's from the Koktan line. Super silky soft as well. Love it. And then I have the Lumiere, Chikuhodo Lumiere holiday brush, but this is the equivalent to the Z9, so it's also a flattened oval. Great for finishing powder. And then the Chikuhodo Z8. The Z4 is also a flattened oval, so I don't have that out right now. But yeah, these are all really great brushes, and I hope this video was helpful. Sorry for all the moving around, and thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment if you haven't already, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!